This is an important issue, the two witnesses. So I thought, we're coming up to a very critical period in the earth's history. These two beings, the two witnesses, are so important that I can't imagine coming to this area in history, or this time in history, and not knowing anything about it. What comes to your mind when you say two witnesses? Most people on this earth, certainly in the West, will give an answer similar to this. Oh, I think of two witnesses when I think of, say, signing a marriage certificate. You've got to have two witnesses there. Or some legal document. You must have two witnesses. There must be someone signing, and there must be two witnesses, and there must be a seal of some kind. So most people are aware of what two witnesses stand for. Now in the Bible, in Revelation chapter 11, we see two witnesses. Revelation chapter 11, reading from the King James Bible. And the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. And they have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues, as often as they will. And when they have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. And they that dwell on the earth shall rejoice over them, and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet. And great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. The same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted, and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Now we have to identify these people, or these beings, and we can see that they come onto the world scene at a particular time in history, at the second woe, which is trumpet number 6. When do they appear? Who are they? What do they teach? The two witnesses appear on the world scene at the second woe. Trumpet number 5 is called Woe 1. Trumpet number 6 is called Woe 2. And trumpet number 7, the last trump, is called Woe 3. 5, 6, 7, that's right. And these two witnesses appear at trumpet number 6, at the second woe. Now there's many theories going around the world, and I've read a few in my time, about who these beings are. These two witnesses are killed by the beast who comes out of the abyss. The two witnesses preach for 42 months. So who are these two witnesses? Now, I want you to follow some of the clues I've taken here. The first clue is when they appear, because they preach for 1260 days, for 42 months. So that's when they come. So they are future. They haven't started. They're not here. But the two witnesses are not on earth at the moment. That's when they come. That's the first clue. The second clue we ask ourselves is, they are referred to as two olive trees. We see in Revelation chapter 11 that they are called olive trees. So if somebody turns to that, you'll see they are referred to quite categorically as olive trees. These are two olive trees. In Zechariah chapter 4, which is another very, very important place, it says, "Then answered I and said unto him, What are these two olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick and on the left side? And I answered again, and he said to me, What be these two olive branches, which through the golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves? And he answered and said to me, Knowest thou not what these be? And I said, No, my Lord. Then he said, These are the two anointed ones, who stand in the presence of the Lord of the whole earth." So they're called two olive trees, and they're also called two anointed ones. And another clue is they stand in God's presence. So before we can identify them, we have to listen very carefully and not try and read things into the scriptures, but say, that's an important clue. They also have enormous power. If anybody tries to kill them, they can just burn them up. Elijah did that. 50 people came to capture him in best days. So that's why people think this is Elijah, because that's what he did. He burned up his enemies. These two witnesses have power to cause a 3.5-year drought around the whole world. Elijah did that in the case of Israel. 3.5 years the rain never fell. All the rivers and brooks dried up. So they think it's Elijah. But it's not Elijah, because Elijah doesn't stand in the presence of the God of earth. He's never referred to as an olive tree. So those are some important clues. These are not ordinary beings. They stand in the presence of the God of the whole earth. They stand in God's presence. So my personal belief is these cherubs are two olive trees. And those olive trees, which were plated with gold, which stood in the temple of Solomon, were made out of trees, and they were the two cherubim. They represented two mighty archangels. I personally believe that these are the beings, the two witnesses. Some people will say, do angels come down to earth? Do you mean to tell us that God is going to send two angels down to earth to preach for 42 months? Yes, that's what I say. Satan was a covering cherub. I'll read it in Ezekiel chapter 28. I'll read you from verse 12 to 19. God speaking to the king of Tyre, but he's really speaking to Satan. The prince of Tyre was the fellow who sat on the throne. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. God is speaking to this cherub. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth. So he's speaking to this covering cherub. He's not speaking to other angels. They don't stand covering the ark or covering the mercy seat. He's speaking to Satan here. Thou art the anointed cherub, I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in all thy ways from the day that thou wast created till iniquity was found in thee. And Satan was a covering cherub. And he sinned. God came into his head to take over God's throne. I turn to Luke chapter 1. In Luke chapter 1, we see this covering cherub. All right? His name is Gabriel. He comes down to announce the birth of John the Baptist. A very, very important event. And he meets Zechariah, that's John's father, who's officiating in the holy place. Right? And he tells John that he is going to be a father of a son. And Zacharias, think this is impossible. I'm an old man. We've been married many years, and my wife's an old woman, and we haven't had a child, so this is not possible. And then Gabriel answered, verse 19, said unto him, I am Gabriel, that stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to thee, and to show these glad tidings. And he was upset that Zacharias didn't believe him, and he struck Zacharias dumb. I said, you'll be dumb, you won't be able to speak till this happens, because you didn't believe me. So right from the very presence of God came this covering cherub, Gabriel. He's an archangel. My personal belief is the other archangel is Michael. You look in Jude and you'll see Michael is an archangel. Some people believe Michael is Jesus Christ. I doubt it. Michael in Jude, verse, is it 9? Yet Michael, the archangel, when contending with the devil, he disputed about the body of Moses. He did not bring against him a railing accusation, but said, the Lord rebuked thee. So there was an argument about the body of Moses, and the archangel Michael came to claim the body of Moses to bury him. And the devil, who was a previous archangel, said, you're not going to have him. And Michael said, God rebuke you. Because it was like one archangel talking to the other, because Satan was also an archangel in his day. A dethroned archangel, a one who'd been cast away, every bit as powerful as Michael was. And when Michael challenged him about the body of Moses, there was this great tussle. In Daniel, when Gabriel came to answer Daniel's prayer, the prince of Persia came to challenge him, and he had to send for Michael to help, to contain this person. So Michael's a very powerful being. So my view is these two archangels are going to come down to earth during the second war to warn mankind. Do angels come? Yeah. We have lots of stories. In the destruction of Sodom, God came down, Yahweh came down to Abraham's tent with two mighty archangels, two angels. And he thought to himself, should I tell Abraham? Oh, I shouldn't hide from Abraham what I'm going to do. I'm going to destroy Sodom. The two angels went on to Sodom, and they came and stayed in the marketplace. And Lot recognized that these were no ordinary human beings. Lot knew these were supernatural beings. And he went and said, you can't stay in this marketplace. It's a very evil city. You cannot stay here. Come into my house. The men of the city came, banging on the door, wanted to rape these angels. The city of Sodom gives its name to one of the worst sins out. And these angels said to Lot, got any relatives, son-in-laws, friends, neighbors? Call them. We can't destroy this place till we are out. And they led them out of the city. And Sodom was burnt to the ground. Angels were sent to visit Gideon. He talked to him. He gave them a meal. Judges chapter 6. Judges chapter 13. An angel visits Samson's parents, Manoah. Talked to him. 2 Samuel 24. An angel slew 70,000 men. Isaiah 37 verse 36. An angel slew 185,000 Syrians. When Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego were thrown in the fiery furnace, an angel came down and walked about in the furnace with them. 3 of us were here. Who was the fourth person? They walked about with an angel in the fire. When Daniel was thrown into the lion's den, an angel came and spent all night with Daniel. He spoke to Daniel. Daniel saw him. When Peter was thrown into prison, an angel came and let him out. Couldn't even believe it. The door opened automatically, like some of these doors which we see in the shops and the airway. When you just walk up to it, it automatically opens. An angel released Paul from prison. His chains fell off. The door opened on its own account. So it's not strange to say that angels won't visit us. There's dozens of examples in the Bible where angels came to earth. They were seen by people. During the First World War, thousands of British troops saw angels. Who are the two witnesses? They are two angels. They will come to earth. They're going to be here for 1260 days. Are we going to see them? Yes. They're not going to stay in Jerusalem all the time. That's where they're killed. Jerusalem is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. Why? Because it's corrupted itself terribly. That's where Jesus Christ was crucified, in Jerusalem. And when these witnesses are killed, the whole world sees their bodies, because they're amazingly powerful beings. They're dressed in sackcloth. Why are they dressed in sackcloth? Because what they're doing is alien to what they really want to do. They are under mourning. Sackcloth is a sign of mourning. They are really the olive branches. They are God's last appeal to the human race. Accept peace and mercy, otherwise you'll die. The olive branch is a symbol of peace. This is God's last effort. This is God's last appeal. I'm sending you my 2 olive trees. They stand in my presence.